Would you be the jerk for selling your Taylor Swift tickets instead of giving them to your sister-in-law? We'll get into that in a bit, but first, am I the jerk for how I handled this situation? My son moved into college last week. Very bittersweet moment and the first person in our family to go to college. My ex-wife and me were going to move him in, and at the last moment she said she was bringing her new boyfriend 2 months. I said no, family only, because this is a special moment. She threatened to not help if he couldn't come, but she also has the only car big enough to move him. I sold my truck for a motorcycle. When we got there to move him in, my wife yelled at me in the parking lot for being immature. I said some choice words, and after we moved him in, he said he didn't want to get dinner with us because it was too much, ended up just saying goodbye. My wife called me today and told me it's my fault and I need to grow up. Am I the jerk here? Or am I allowed to draw boundaries for family milestones? So personally, I think you might have some pretty varied answers here. People saying, oh, this is a family milestone and it should have been respected in that way, or people saying OP shouldn't have been so standoffish about just the ex helping out here. I think a great take was commented by ZizXDFW that wrote, everybody sucks here, and let's be real. You all managed to turn what should have been a milestone of pride and joy into a dramatic, immature showdown. Congrats on that. First off, let's start with you. You were so focused on drawing some arbitrary line about family only that you missed the bigger picture. This wasn't about you or your ex-wife or her new boyfriend. This was about your son moving into college, a major moment in his life. Instead of swallowing your pride and putting on a united front for him, you decided to pick a fight over who could come, because God forbid you had to share that day with someone your ex is seeing. Who cares if the boyfriend was there for 2 months or 2 days? If your son was okay with it, you should have been too. It's called being a parent. Sometimes you have to put your own feelings aside for the sake of your kid. And then there's your wife, blackmailing you with the car situation. Seriously, threatening not to help move your own child into college unless her new flavor of the month could tag along? That's some real petty nonsense right there. And yelling at you in the parking lot? Perfect way to keep things calm and focused on your son, right? Both of you are acting like high schoolers who never grew up. But the real victims here, your son. He's the one stuck in the middle of your childish tug of war, forced to play referee on what should have been one of the happiest days of his young life. Instead, he gets to watch his parents bicker in the parking lot like teenagers fighting over who gets the last slice of pizza. No wonder he didn't want to go to dinner with you, who would? You both managed to turn a moment that should have been about celebrating his achievements into yet another episode of your never-ending drama series. So yeah, everybody sucks here. You for being too stubborn to see past your own ego, your ex-wife for weaponizing the car and making demands like it's her show to run, and both of you for not being able to keep it together long enough to give your son the supportive send-off he deserves. Grow up, both of you, because your son is clearly already more mature than the two of you combined. Whew. Also, hi, I'm Steven, and if you guys enjoy getting to decide whether or not all of these people are jerks, why not hit those like and subscribe buttons down below? That said, our next story is, am I the jerk for locking my room so my roommate doesn't get in when I'm not home? So I, 23-year-old male, am living with a friend, 37-year-old male, whom I've known for years. I moved into his apartment last August and have been renting one of the rooms there since. However, in February, he sent a message to my sister that my jacket smelled like weed. He had no prior contact with my sister, but he was angry with me for not being home that weekend, which is why he sent it. I have since quit smoking, but I felt like he crossed some boundaries and I've been mostly to myself since. The reason I bring up the fact that he told my sister that I smoked is because he knew my family do not take lightly to it. He knew it would make me look like some sort of junkie, which my sister thought for some time. I was just illustrating his intentions aren't always good, even though he pretends they are. However, when I'm not home, he's often in my room, goes through my trash and picks up bottles, etc. I have let him know that I find it weird and I don't want him in my room when I'm not home. I don't have a key, so I'm unable to lock the door when I leave for class or for work. When I order takeout with my own money, which is rare but it happens occasionally, he finds it in my trash and lets me know that he never orders takeout because it's a waste of money. He also tells me to clean my room. It's pretty clean for the record, but he has a different standard to what clean is than I do. He smells my clothes that I put to wash and tries to confront me sometimes thinking I still smoke. I've smoked twice since February. Also, he tells me to close my window when I go to work or class, even though we don't live on the first floor, so he's in my room a lot when I'm not home. He also goes into my room when I'm sleeping because I'm sleeping next to my laptop as I need to watch something to go to bed. He says it's to remove the laptop, but I've told him I don't want him to do that, but he keeps doing it. Additionally, he insists on using the bathroom when I'm showering, using the kitchen when I'm cooking, etc. I find all of this to be an invasion of my privacy, and I've confronted him, insinuating his behavior is controlling. I have asked for a key for my room, which he didn't take lightly. I want to keep pushing for a key, but he makes it seem like I'm questioning his character. I want a key, but I feel like a jerk for pushing for one. Am I the jerk for asking for a key when I want to lock the room I'm renting in his apartment when I'm not home? Or am I overreacting as he's not stealing or anything? So this is just my opinion, but I think OP is 1,000,000% not the jerk. If you're renting a room, or even if you have your own room in like your parents' house, I think you deserve to have a lock on your door. And especially, God forbid, if people have a habit of going into your room and rifling through your stuff, readjusting things. If you want to have a lock on that door, I think you deserve to have one. At least when you're living with your parents, they can pull the my house, my rules thing, but if you're actually paying for that room, I think you should be entitled to have that level of privacy. FirmMolasses4913 commented, "Not the jerk. It is no reflection of his character that you want a lock for your room. It reflects that you have a tenant and landlord relationship. You're paying for a bedroom and have a right to privacy. Look up the regulations for your area and use those to advocate for yourself until you can leave." I agree with another comment that he will simply use the key to enter the room. Get a doorstop and use it when you shower and sleep. They're sold to people traveling to secure the hotel door, or any kind of doorstop will probably do. When he complains, be very clear that he's made this necessary because he's violating your privacy. Do not inform him that you're looking for a new rental. Secure your identity and banking info, etc. off-site if you can, or with a trusted individual. Take photos of your valuables, and if any go missing when you leave, tell him you will have to report the theft. His behavior is so inappropriate, I just don't trust him at all. Our next story is, am I the jerk for not attending my sister's wedding? My 29-year-old male, sister 26-year-old female, and I have a challenged relationship. Primarily personality differences, which have led us to be relatively low contact over the last several years, with the exception of a shift during my wife's, 29 years old, recent pregnancy. My wife gave birth around 6 months ago to a baby boy, and during her pregnancy, my sister and her fiance were very supportive and appeared to genuinely show compassion. Fast forward to now, and despite trying to make plans to see them since our son was born, every attempt has been rebuffed. They live around 15 minutes from us, so it's not exactly a difficult task for them to spend time with my wife and I and their nephew. My sister and her fiance are getting married in a few weeks in a destination wedding requiring flights and hotel, etc. We received the invitation around 2 months ago, where my wife and I were named invitees and our son was not. I inquired as to whether he was included or if we should make other plans. The ultimate answer, after some hand-wringing to get one out of them, was they decided on a child-free wedding, with the exception of one of my sister's fiance's nephews, who was to be the ring bearer. We took slight issue with that, but ultimately we understand that's someone's personal choice. It just involves a little more coordination for my wife and I being able to attend. Using that discussion as a catalyst, I proceeded to ask them if there was any particular reason they have spent zero time with the three of us since our son was born. The answer I received back was unfortunate, but not totally unexpected, that she and her husband intentionally haven't wanted to spend any time with us, and as a result, that haven't seen their nephew at all. On this basis, my wife and I have determined if they can't be bothered to go 10 to 20 minutes out of their way to spend any time with us in 6 months, that it's lofty for them to expect us to figure out 3 to 4 day childcare to fly 5 hours, or take our infant to a relatively remote destination and arrange local childcare, or have my wife miss the wedding in order to attend a wedding of someone that has not wanted to be around us for half a year. Disappointing, but that's the state of the world right now apparently. So, Reddit, am I the jerk? I don't think OP's the jerk. The bottom line is, obviously, it's incredibly inconvenient to begin with, and these are people that haven't invested any real time and effort in you and your guys' lives, so realistically, why would there be any real expectation for you to go out of your way and make all this incredible effort? BlackFlash3003 commented, "Not the jerk. Have they given you a reason for why they didn't want to spend time with you? Nonetheless, they should have made the effort to at least spend several minutes with their newborn nephew. If they plan to keep this up in the future as well, I don't see why you should make the effort to accommodate them, especially since they also banned your nephew from attending. OP responded saying, "Unfortunately, no. Whether due to inability or unwillingness to communicate what she's feeling, I'm not sure. This is somewhat of a pattern with her. She can be difficult and has a history of holding grudges for disagreeing with people's personal choices that have no impact on her. So I've pretty much exhausted myself trying to find out what's driving her current feelings, but she's unable to give a firm reason." This next story is, am I the jerk for refusing to loan out my sitter? My ex and I share custody of our 9-year-old son, Caleb. He had ODD and ADHD when he was 5. It was so bad that he got kicked out of summer camp and went through multiple sitters all before he was 6. His mom and I worked, so being a stay-at-home parent wasn't an option. A few summers ago, we found our unicorn sitter, Mike. We have no idea how Mike makes it work, but he does. Caleb has been a different kid ever since Mike started working for us. He's so well behaved, polite, and social. Mike is like his best friend. We joke that Mike is Caleb's executive assistant. Earlier this year, Caleb became friends with a classmate named Luke. They wanted a sleepover playdate, and everything was good until we said that Mike would pick up both boys, bring them to my place, go to the pier, and then back home to go to bed. Luke's mom flat out said she wasn't comfortable with a male sitter. I laughed because I thought she was joking. She wasn't. She said it was too weird for a male to babysit and wasn't cool with it. I said she didn't need to explain herself and there would be no playdates with our kids outside of school. She wasn't expecting that. I told her if she's not okay with a male caregiver, then she probably wouldn't be okay with Luke spending the night at my place since I'm a single dad. I pointed out that she was the first parent to have a problem with this, and Mike occasionally works for other families at the school. She was offended that I was offended. I ran into Luke's mom, who said she needed a sitter for a couple of weeks as her old sitter quit, and the new sitter wasn't free until mid-September. She then asked if Mike would be free. She even said she would need an overnight. I said, "You can't be serious. You said you didn't trust Mike and now you want him to watch your son so you can have a social life?" I admit that it took guts to ask. I told her, "No, we will not share our nanny. You said that it was sus when a guy has a childcare job." She said she was joking and that Mike is a nice guy. I said, "I know he is, but you can't use him." For the record, the days and times that she needed him are days where he is working for us. She would have paid him on top of what we pay, but Mike would be at Luke's house or his place. My ex and I don't mind Mike double dipping on sitter fees by watching more than one kid because he can make a lot of money and Caleb gets a playdate. This was an exception where I did her a problem. Now, I don't think OP is the jerk framing this from the perspective of Mike is going to be working for us that time and we don't want your kid over when you said these things about Mike to begin with. That said, I feel like there is an undeniable second side to this that A, Mike would greatly benefit from having that additional commission. B, Caleb would probably benefit from being able to hang out with Luke and have that sleepover. And C, there's almost like a weird possessiveness going on here that OP isn't really entitled to have. Also kind of keeping Mike in the dark as far as extra potential money. Laughing Loving Livid commented, "I'm not going as far as to call you the jerk here because I know why you did it, but I think you should have given Mike the option to make this decision for himself. Told him your concerns, her previous comments, and your thoughts on the subject and let him decide for himself. He could need the money, or he could just want to prove one archaic person wrong. But either way, he deserves the choice." Our next story is, am I the jerk for telling my sister to shut up and stop giving me parenting advice when she's clueless about autism in kids? My sister, 35-year-old female, is single and childless currently, though she has plans to have a child via donor at 40. I, 31-year-old female, am a mom of 3, and my middle child, Ava, is on the spectrum. Ava has sensory difficulties surrounding clothes and food. She was always considered a fussy baby. Early signs were there from when she was still a newborn and hated most of her clothes. She was also a child who did not take to eating solids, and she would struggle when being around too many people or meeting new people. We were told she was showing early signs of autism and she was eventually diagnosed. She's in a few different therapies at present, and some of that is to help with her sensory struggles. My sister is so judgmental about Ava and how my husband and I parent her. She accuses us of coddling Ava, of making her spoiled. She gets ticked when we won't make Ava wear something she bought for Ava. that we already asked her not to, or when Ava gets different food from the rest of us, including her brothers. She's told us we need to sit Ava down and tell her that she needs to eat better and she won't be getting different food from everyone. I told her that would be cruel, and she said she'd learn to eat that way. I reminded her of the times Ava's been on many supplements and needed medical attention because of how little she eats, and that I refuse to make her go backward. I also told her she knows what fabrics and type of clothes Ava can't handle wearing. I mostly avoid my sister, but sometimes it's unavoidable. At my niece's birthday party on Saturday, my sister was telling my husband that we shouldn't let Ava eat anything at the party because it was all junk and she eats trash already. She told him we should bring her veggies to snack on and make her eat those instead. He told her no. She told me we're making her a picky eater and how she would never and she would only expose Ava to healthy foods and choices until she eats it. I told her to shut up and stop giving me parenting advice when she's clueless about autism and kids. My sister told me I should stop being so rude to her face when she's trying to help. Am I the jerk? OP's 1,000,000% not the jerk. They clearly don't have an understanding of how this whole thing works. I think OP's absolutely right that trying to do these forceful, you're gonna eat this or you're not gonna eat it all, is not going to work in a situation like this, and like OP was concerned, would likely lead to just a backward step. It's like almost at what point are they going to realize these people don't want your help? Like at this point, anytime they even start to bring up that stuff, I feel like I would give them that sarcastic, scrunched face smile and just give them that, okay, thank you, I appreciate your input. Worth Season 3645 commented, not the jerk. Sis, why are you so interested in how we parent one of our children? What does it do for you to continually tell us what to do with a child you have no clue about? You're not with her 24/7, you do not even try to get to know your niece, but you sure like to give a lot of advice on the subject. Thank you for your concern, but I'm pretty sure we got this covered. See that last part each and every time she states her opinion, or a version of what you want to say. Don't say anything else, just your statement and move on. If she keeps on, just ignore her, or bean dip and change the subject. My granddaughter has sensory issues. There are clothes she will not wear. Our next story is, am I the jerk for refusing to swim at a friend's house because I'm self-conscious about my body? I'm a 35-year-old man, and my wife and I have a 2-year-old daughter who's made a close friend at a daycare. Recently, my wife has become friendly with his friend's mom, and they've invited us over to their house for a swim. They have a pool, and it's just going to be us, our daughter, and the other couple with their kid. Here's the thing, I'm pretty overweight, 190 pounds at 5'10", and I've always been self-conscious about my body. While I have swum before at public places on holiday, I usually try to avoid situations where I'm around people I don't know very well, especially if they're very fit, like this couple. It makes me feel even more uncomfortable. I told my wife that I'll come to their house, but that I won't swim. She got frustrated and said that's stupid and that no one will care about how I look. She also said that I should do it for our daughter because she loves swimming and would enjoy it more if I was in the pool with her. I get where she's coming from, but I just don't feel comfortable in this situation. I think I should be allowed to set my own boundaries, but my wife seems to think that I'm making a big deal out of nothing and should just suck it up. Am I the jerk for refusing to swim at this gathering because I'm self-conscious? I don't think OP's the jerk. Ultimately, if they can't do it, if they can't bring themselves to swim there, they can't do it. I mean, Lord knows I'm definitely one of those black t-shirt swimmers. I mean, I had a surgery when I was just a small kid and it left a scar on my chest. I mean, pretty much all my life I've been terrified about being anywhere without a shirt. I think if it's something OP just can't get past, it's not the end of the world if OP doesn't. Even if it does come at the cost of maybe having less ability to make more memorable experiences. FlimsyCar7926 commented, not the jerk. It's not true that nobody will care. You will. While it would be great if we were all confident enough to enter all situations with ease, that's not how it works. I've had issues with being uncomfortable in swimwear as well. Consider wearing a t-shirt. It's worked for me. Helps me feel covered, but if you aren't comfortable, you shouldn't have to do it. Inquisitive1 commented, to be honest, I felt like this for a long time too, but I decided one day I was going to stop letting my insecurities get in the way of me having fun with my kids. Practice makes better, and I now wear a swimsuit to the pool, river, lake, whatever, and don't even notice other people, let alone what they think of me, and I'm level 3 obese. Life is too short to let concerns over people being judgmental ruin your fun with the kids who love you unconditionally. My kids don't care that I'm fat, but they do care that I refuse to do certain stuff with them because of it. Screw that. My kids' happiness is now more important to me than the opinions of others. My husband is happier, my kids are happier, and so am I. Our next story is, am I the jerk for asking to live with a parent who cheated? My 14-year-old male parents are getting a divorce because mom found texts from a coworker on dad's phone that were extremely raunchy, and she confronted him and found out he's having an affair with her. She's been dragging it out for a while because she wants to make it as painful as possible. I'm pretty angry at him about it because it was an awful thing to do to our mom, but then things got a lot more complicated, and I feel like I don't have any good options. Mom found out one of my mates is trans, and she freaked out and told me I couldn't see him, and she thought he was sick, and she kept calling him she and got upset when I corrected her, and she said something about all the woke alphabet weirdos and all that, and I finally told her, Mom, I'm gay, because I thought she would understand more if she knew I was gay. And then she got even angrier and flipped out and kept saying I'm just confused and brainwashed by wokeness and whatever, and she made me really uncomfortable. So I called dad and he came and got me and took me to his flat. Now mom's kind of apologized, but not really because she's talking about fixing this. And she wants me to talk to a pastor because she joined a church a couple years ago that's not Hillsong, but it's a lot like Hillsong, and dad says that's conversion therapy, and he's really angry about it. Dad moved in with the coworker he slept with and asked if I wanted to go with him, and I said yeah. And she's really nice to me and says there's nothing wrong with being gay, and I know I'm supposed to hate her because she slept with a married man, but I kind of like her because she's really nice to me. Now we're supposed to decide who we want to live with, and I said I wanted to live with dad. I'm angry at dad, but mom doesn't accept me for being gay and it's really toxic around her. And I really don't want to live with her, but my brother, male 16, says I'm a jerk and I'm being disloyal to mom and I should be cutting dad off. He's also started to say the same stuff about me being gay being a disease that mom is. So I kind of don't want to live with either of them either. Then mom rang me last night and she was crying and said she wanted me back. But then I asked if she was okay with me being gay, and she went back to saying I was confused and I hung up. Am I the jerk? OP's not the jerk here. I'm glad that OP even has a choice in this matter. Obviously, you're gonna want to stay with a parent that treats you good, that makes you feel okay about who you are, that doesn't tell you that your identity is a disease and you're brainwashed. Like, if you have a choice between a parent that treats you well but is a cheater versus one who seems liable to try to push you into conversion therapy, I think that person's ultimate choice, regardless of what you believe, is going to be pretty obvious on who they select. Discount Mythroll commented, not the jerk. What happened between your parents is between them. Neither of them should be discussing legal issues and the details of the case with you. This is about your mom and how she treats you and speaks to you. Unfortunately, I don't think you'll get to decide if your mom fights this. You may be stuck in the middle of a custody dispute. State your opinions clearly when asked by any attorney or judge whom you would like to live with and why. If you feel unsafe with your mom based on how she speaks to you, speak up about it. Good luck, and I'm sorry you're dealing with this. This next story is, am I the jerk for telling my stepmother to freak off when she criticized my brother for commenting on my weight? I'm 17-year-old female, and my big brother is 23-year-old male. Stepmother Abby moved in only 6 months ago. About 2 years ago, I got into an obsession with my weight, and ended up losing all the way to BMI of 18. It wasn't good at all. I didn't look nice or healthy, and I wasn't feeling great either. I worked with my family and therapist to get over the obsession and increased my weight to BMI of 22, including increasing some lean weight as well. This has been a very good change for me. I look better and feel better, and my doctor told me I'm healthier too. I'm doing an intense summer internship right now and haven't been eating as much as I should in the last few weeks. My BMI has gone down to just under 21 now. This last weekend, I was going to the beach with my family, and my brother, who hadn't seen me in a bikini in a while, mentioned when we were alone that I've definitely lost weight, and he was worried. I assured him that I hadn't gone back to trying to lose weight, and this was mostly due to being busy, and promised that I wouldn't let this go any further and will make changes to eat enough and properly. What I didn't know was that my stepmother was eavesdropping this conversation. A day later, she came to me and said she was concerned that my brother commented on my weight, saying it's never okay for a man to comment on women's weight, no matter if they're family. She said my brother crossed a line and I should not have explained anything or made any promises. I was taken aback by all of this, more than anything that she had eavesdropped on a private conversation. So I told her that I didn't like what she did and said it's her who needs to apologize to me, not my brother. And my brother was also only concerned because of a real and serious problem that I struggled with. So I think he was justified to be concerned when he noticed I'd lost weight. She tried to justify her actions by saying she was concerned my brother was bullying me for my weight, and I was being too submissive by listening to him, when this obviously was not the case at all. So I got angry and told her she's insane and to freak off. Now she's gone to my dad, and while dad agrees brother and I did nothing wrong initially, he said disrespecting stepmom was wrong and I should apologize. I've so far refused. It's her who owes us an apology for eavesdropping. Since then, we're not on speaking terms, and it's caused serious tension at home. I'm not backing down. Am I the jerk? Edit some background info. My dad cheated on my mom with her, so I don't feel like I should assume good intentions or accept that her concerns for me are real. And yes, I equally blame my dad too. So personally, I don't think OP's the jerk here at all. The problem is, obviously the stepmother A eavesdropped in a conversation they were not part of, but B, they came into it with just a full-out assumption and targeted stuff. If they truly cared, they would have pulled OP to the side much like OP's brother did and said, "Hey, I heard him say this stuff. Is that okay?" You know, try to understand the situation before you just go and try to overthrow the whole thing. Not only did they just immediately make a total fool of themselves, they did that while riding in on the nasty stench fume wave of admitting that they've eavesdropped on the whole thing. Forgerous commented, "Not the jerk. You followed one of my most basic rules. Don't tell me what to do, and I won't tell you to freak off. Your stepmom told you what you should do when she had no business nor knowledge necessary to give any advice, and you did exactly what every sane person would to someone who intrudes in other people's business. Send her on her merry way to freak off." Our next story is, am I the jerk for selling my Eras tour tickets instead of giving them to my sister-in-law? Hi everyone, I'm 31-year-old female living in San Diego. About a year ago, I got 2 tickets to Taylor Swift's Eras tour for this December in Vancouver, Canada. My sister-in-law, 29-year-old female, has never been a huge Taylor Swift fan. She even was offered a chance to go to the Eras tour last year, but said no because she doesn't like her music that much. But I asked if she wanted to go with me and she said yes. Fast forward a couple of months and I'm now expecting a baby. The concert is December 6th, and my due date is December 7th. At first, I was adamant that I was still going to try and make it to the concert, but I soon came to the realization that it just wasn't in the cards for me. I offered to let her have the tickets if she wanted to take her daughter, who is a big Taylor Swift fan, and she said she didn't want to go if I wasn't going. A couple weeks go by and I tell her I'm thinking about just selling my tickets, and she tells me she's still going with or without me, and that her nail tech wants to go with her, which kind of put me off a little because they're my tickets and not hers to be deciding who is using them. She never even offered to pay me face value for them. Long story short, I ended up selling the tickets for $4,000 in total, which will be a perfect little nest egg for me while I'm on maternity leave. She has since completely stopped communicating with me. We were pretty much best friends before this. She doesn't reply to anything I send her about the baby. Ultrasound pics, etc., stopped sharing her location, and now is looking to go out of the town the day of my baby shower, which has been planned for months. So, am I the jerk here? OP, I think, is pretty obviously not the jerk. It's their tickets. I'm sorry that your best friend / sister-in-law is feeling personally affronted, but let's be honest, when it comes to a situation where you can no longer attend that concert, and you can turn around and sell them for $4,000, I say take the $4,000 and run. I Am Irene quoted, "I offered to let her have the tickets if she wanted to take her daughter. She said she didn't want to go if I wasn't going. I tell her that I'm thinking about just selling my tickets, and she tells me she's still going with or without me and that her nail tech wants to go. They write, first she won't go without you, then she invites her nail tech? That's massively presumptuous, especially since she didn't contribute to the cost of the tickets. Wow. Not the jerk. Your sister-in-law got greedy and you have a backbone, so her loss. Your tickets, your rules. Congrats on the baby and the big lump of money you got for your tickets." But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. Now, if you want to hear another absolutely crazy Am I the Jerk Here story, check out that video on the left. Or if you missed my latest video, check out that video on the right. That said, I'll see you all next time with some more stories.